And here we are. And thank you all for coming. Thank you so much for coming today. And welcome to this week's CAM World Magazine webcast series event. My name is Andy Moore. I am publisher of CAM World Magazine, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's event. Today's presentation, as I kind of suggested, is part of an ongoing series. So please join us for each of these events. Check our website for updates on the series, and check your email because we send you emails. I'm really pleased to welcome all of you to today's installment, which is cool because we have two great experts in the field of customer experience. We're calling this event Why a Centralized Knowledge Solution is the Power Behind a Solid Customer Engagement Strategy. That's a big sentence, but it's important because recently cloud solutions have given us a new reason to rethink and reshape our customer engagement strategy. There are next-generation cloud solutions that are smarter and more innovative that can help you with these customer strategies, and I hope you take advantage of them. Today we'll hear from two leading industry experts in customer service while they explore what they're calling the 4 Ps of customer service, and I'll explain that to you in a minute, and introduce you to the next generation knowledge solutions management that can help you with your customer engagement strategies. First, we're going to hear from Kate Leggett. Kate is the Vice President and a Principal Analyst who serves application development and delivery for Forrester Research. And then we'll hear from Chris Hall. Chris is the Chief Marketing Officer at Transversal, and we'll get to that in a minute too. But if you want to hear more about them, I'm not going to spend a lot of time introducing them with their bios. You can read the bio box and you can find out anything you want to know about them. But I do want to tell you that there will be a rich interactive Q&A session after the presentation. You ask your questions anytime during the event by entering your question in the text box on your screen and hitting submit. I will read your questions aloud. If yours isn't asked during the event, however, do not worry. We will get you an answer offline after the event via email. So I'm going to go ahead and just get out of the way and introduce Kate. Kate is, let's see, hang on.
Here, I can take it from here, Andy.
Anyway, welcome, Kate Leggett. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Andy. And thanks to all of you on this webcast for taking an hour out of your busy day to listen to us. So I want to start talking about customer experience and customer engagement. And the way that we look at customer engagement at Forrester, it's the sum of individual customer experiences. And we have a lot of data around customer experience that I will be presenting to you in the next couple of slides. But before I get there, I want to take a brief walk through history and convey to you why focusing on customer experience is so important. So if you look back in time at technology, technology evolves through a set of cycles that span anywhere from 20 to 40 years before newer technology comes along and disrupts the age that we were in. In the early 1990s, we were in the age of information. And the age of information was characterized by connected PCs and very efficient supply chains. And companies that control the flow of information ended up dominating this age. And what happened about 10 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, is social media came on the horizon. And social media helped disrupt this last age of information and ushered in this new age that Forrester is calling the age of the customer. And what this means is that customers today, like all of you on this webcast, you control the conversation that you are having with companies that you do business with. And companies have to become a lot more obsessed with delivering individual experiences and end-to-end engagement in line with your expectations to garner your satisfaction at that point in time and your long-term loyalty. And so it's no wonder that customer experience is becoming the top driver for many companies. 90% of companies view customer experience as one of their top priorities. That's almost all the companies out there. 2/3, 60%, use customer experience as a way to differentiate their products and services from the sea of commoditized products that are available to consumers. And because we know that customer obsession is on the top of every executive's mind, it's when we asked over 2,000 executive and technology decision makers what their top investments were for the upcoming year, investments in customer-facing departments like sales and marketing topped the list. So we know that companies believe that customer experience is one of their top strategic initiatives. But the question you have to ask is, how well do companies do at delivering experiences in line with customer expectations? And Donnell, I'm trying to forward the slide and I can't. Can you push it to 8? So for the last 6 years, Forrester has been measuring the customer experience that close to 200 brands that we ended up bucketing in 40 verticals deliver by asking 3 very basic questions. How useful was the interaction that a customer had with that brand in fulfilling their request? How easy was the company to do business with? And lastly, how enjoyable was the experience? And what we see is that less than half the companies that we survey deliver positive customer experiences in line with customer expectations. So 53% of companies miss the mark on providing positive customer experiences. And why do you care ultimately about providing great experiences? Is because good customer experiences have a quantifiable revenue impact. A happy customer correlates to a loyal customer, and a loyal customer is one who is willing to spend a larger wallet share during their engagement lifetime with a company. A loyal customer is more willing to stay true to your brand, is less likely to churn to a competitor away from your brand. A loyal customer is one who will consider your company for additional purchases, cross-sells and upsells. And a loyal customer is one who is more likely to serve as a company advocate, one who is more likely to recommend your product and your company and their services to their network, their professional network, their personal network. And so this means that it's very important to focus on customer experiences and deliver customer experiences in line with customer expectations, because good customer experiences are good for business. And where does customer service fit in to this world of customer experience? Is that customer service is a cornerstone to a company's customer experience strategy. Typically, 2/3 of interactions that a customer has with a company is for customer service. But we know that it's very difficult to deliver customer service and customer experiences in line with customer expectations. And it is so difficult because the organizational leader who's in charge of customer engagement or customer service or customer experience has to walk a really pragmatic balancing act between the needs of his customers and the needs of his business. And with every interaction, the customer service leader is hampered by the infrastructure and the tools that their department uses and has trouble delivering experiences in line with expectations. So the first issue that customer service leaders face is that we live in a fragmented world. Technology is organizationally siloed, as well as technology is there's silos of technology to support different communication channels. On average, customer service agents have to use a multitude of applications ranging from 10 applications and above. And Donnell, can you please push slide 13? So here's some data from Forrester that backs this statement up. We see that over 30% of companies are unable to provide a consistent cross-channel experience. That means the same experience over the phone channel compared to the email channel or the chat channel. 44% of companies are unable to provide a seamless handoff between communication channels. That means a customer starting an interaction or a customer service request, for example, on the website, and then escalating it to chat or to a voice interaction. And this is due to the fragmentation of technology that exists in contact centers. The next problem is a problem about knowledge. And we find that in most contact centers, knowledge is everywhere within an organization. That we know that the volume of data and information that customer-facing personnel rely on to do their job is exploding. We know that data doubles every 18 months, and unstructured information multiplies 6 times faster than structured data. And then this content is located everywhere in the company, and that's what this heat map that you're looking at shows. You find content in email correspondences, in competitor battle cards, and the multimedia assets. And this content is not consistently available to frontline personnel servicing their servicing customers in a format that they can easily act on it. And very few companies have invested in knowledge management solutions to add order and easy access to this content. And fewer companies yet have invested in knowledge management programs. These are the processes that companies follow to keep the content in line with customer expectations. And lastly, there's the problem of not only technology silos, but organizational silos. So customers have a single view of the company that they engage with during their engagement journey, from discovering the company to exploring their products to buying to engaging with the company. And they expect these consistent experiences over the different communication channels and touch points that they want to use. But again, with this explosion of communication channels and touch points that are not only siloed in their own channel, but technology is siloed in sales and marketing and customer service organizations, it's very difficult to provide this consistent experience to customers, again, during their engagement journey. And what happens if you're not able to satisfy your customers? It ends up being costly. Customers, for example, who can't get an answer to their question when they go to your website, for example, will recontact you. Well, they'll pick up the phone, they'll email you, they'll chat with you. And for a customer service request, this will happen 3/4 of the time. And every time they recontact you, they're recontacting you on a more expensive channel. And so what this means is that these recontacts incur costs that can run into the millions and millions of dollars depending on the volume of recontacts. The other problem that happens is that customers are dissatisfied with a poor customer service interaction, and they will voice their dissatisfaction over the social channels. And the social channels do a great job at amplifying this dissatisfaction that can ultimately erode your brand, and as well influence future purchases. Another data point from Forrester says that 41% say that complaints about customer service from other consumers on social sites strongly influence their image of a company and affect their decision to buy from that company. So what can you do to be able to move the needle on your customer service operations? And the way that I look at it is in a framework of 4 Ps. And can we please push slide 19 to the audience? Thank you. And these 4 Ps are providing pain-free customer service, providing personalized customer service, providing proactive customer service, and doing it in a way that maximizes your customer service organization's productivity. And for the rest of this webinar, I want to look at what these 4 Ps ultimately mean. And let's start off with what pain-free service means. Next slide, please. So let's look at what consumers expect out of service interactions. First of all, customers expect pain-free or effortless service. Over half of customers will abandon an online purchase if they can't find a quick answer to their question. 3/4 of consumers say, 71% say, valuing their time is the most important thing a company can do to provide them with good service. Customers don't expect an over-the-top Disney-esque experience. What they want is they want to be able to contact a customer service organization effortlessly over the channel of their choice, be able to get a quick answer to their question or a quick resolution to their problem, and then get on with their life. Again, it's the focus on pain-free or effortless service. We also know that customers want to use a range of communication channels to interact with customer service organizations. This is data that shows the shift in channel usage for customer service in the last 3 years. And what you see is that the phone still remains a very viable channel, but it's quickly backed by web self-service, digital, and social channels. What you will also notice from this data is that the channel mix that customers are using is changing year over year. For example, web self-service rates jumped from 57% to 67% in 3 years. Chat, for example, also jumped 13 percentage points in 3 years. And what you will also see from this data is that there are new emerging channels For example, click-to-call, virtual agent, screen sharing weren't on our radar 3 years ago, but now are commonly used communication channels. So the takeaway is to understand the channels that your customers want to use and understand that this channel mix will change year over year. And you want to deploy channels, again, in line with customer expectations to be able to garner their satisfaction and loyalty. And channel mix is not the only issue. Customers want to start a conversation on one communication channel and continue it on another communication channel without having to restart the conversation over again. And when they interact with a live agent, they want conversations to be contextual, personalized to their particular situation at hand. And again, this is something that is very difficult to do in our fragmented technology ecosystem that we live in, where agents are not empowered with the right content to serve the customer's issue. You also want to make sure that you pay attention to your mobile strategy. Our data shows that consumers on average in North America have over 3 connected devices. And more than that, the time spent on mobile devices overtook the time spent on other devices in January of this year. Data from an Accenture Global Pulse study said that in 45% of cases, if companies were able to provide better mobile customer service, that would have made a decision, that would have made an impact in the consumer's decision to shift their business away from the brand. On the right-hand side of the screen is a typical mobile customer service engagement experience. You may have some FAQs that are available via your mobile device, but as soon as you want to contact a customer service agent, either via chat or via phone, what you're presented with, like in this case, is a 1-800 number, and you have to restart the conversation over again. There is no context passing from the mobile self-service session to a live agent. You also want to focus on proactively communicating with your customers to be able to keep them in the loop. You want to send them, for example, alerts, notifications about the products and services that they've bought, like flight changes, emergency warnings, potential issues and fixes for their problem. And you want to do it over the voice channel as well as over the digital and social channels. And why do you want to do this? Because, again, from the customer's perspective, it feels like you are looking out for their best interest. And from the company's perspective, it will help educate your customers, and it will prevent them from contacting you, again, and help preserve costs. You also want to focus on empowering your workforce, your customer-facing employees to better serve your customers. Your customer-facing employees are the heart of your customer interactions, and the quality of engagement that they deliver will make or break your brand. And look at how many employees directly or indirectly engage with customers. 32% of your workforce engages with customers directly. 42% engages with your customers indirectly. And paying attention to the tools and processes that they use and have to follow, and as well the motivation for these employees, again, will affect the quality of service that you deliver. So first thing that you need to know is that by providing a superior agent experience, you can drive a higher quality of service. In a survey that we did a couple years ago, only 1% of survey respondents said that there was no correlation between an improved agent experience and a better customer satisfaction outcome. That means in 99% of cases, there was a correlation between an improved agent experience and a better outcome for customer service. Think about the typical agent desktop that a customer service agent uses. I mean, what you're seeing on the screen here looks like a typical agent desktop. What you want to do is not present to the agent disconnected applications. You want to think through the processes that agents take to resolve a customer's question. And then you want to design the agent experience to be task-based, where the processes that agents follow are only a few clicks in length. And what you also want to do is proactively push the right information, the right content to the agent at the right point in the service cycle. First of all, you want to empower your agents with a universal customer history, details of all the interactions and transactions the customer has had with you over all the channels that you support. And this allows an agent to better understand what has been communicated to you in the past. And instead of struggling with their tool set, they're able to listen to the customer, the conversation that they're having with the customer, and build on the knowledge and relationship that has been established in the past. What you also want to do is, again, pay attention to your knowledge strategy and proactively push out not a one-size-fits-all type of knowledge, but contextual, personalized knowledge to the agent at the right point in the service resolution cycle where the agent can act on it. And you want to make sure that this knowledge is consistent across different communication channels so that the customer is not getting different answers to their questions. And lastly, you want to listen to your customers. You want to survey your customers after every interaction. You want to listen to what they're saying over the social channels. You want to separate the actionable insights that you glean from these listening activities. You want to separate the actionable insights from the noise and take these insights and route them to the right place in the organization where they can get acted on and where you can use the insights for continuous improvement projects to better align your service offering with what your customers' expectations are. And why do you care about doing so? Again, to garner your customer satisfaction and your their long-term loyalty. And again, why you care about that is because customer loyalty correlates to an increased spend by that customer, of which means that better customer engagement experiences are good for business. And that is fundamentally why you want to care about bettering your customer service operations. And with that, I am going to hand it off to Andy and Chris.
Wow, Kate, thank you very much. That's tremendous, and we're going to get back to you in a minute when we get to the Q&A session, and I want you to stick around because I know that people have lots of questions for you, and I have a couple of my own. But I don't want to take up Chris's time. I want to make sure that Chris has time to jump in now and talk to the audience about Transversal and himself and all the stuff that he talks about. So please help me welcome Chris Hall.
Thank you, Andy, and thank you, Kate. I'm hoping a lot of you identified with a lot of the slides that Kate put in place. There's not a better analyst more connected with what's happening in the customer service community than Kate, and really appreciate her taking the time to be on the call with us today. Thought I'd set expectations pretty quickly. Let's cut through all the trendy buzzwords. I'm not going to talk to you about social media, big data, or omni-channel services. I think we probably had a 2-hour conversation at the bar last night. We're at a customer expo here in New York City around the difference between omni-channel and multi-channel. It didn't go anywhere. I thought I'd just cut right to the chase and basically tell you the answer for a better customer engagement strategy is knowledge. And if you really either put your mind as a consumer for a second or really look at what the demand of a consumer wants, Consumers demand more information on your products and services ever than before, and even before they choose to interact or transact or continue doing business or upgrading their services with you. It's kind of the nature of where technology is going. And knowledge, as Kate said earlier from her heat map, already exists in your organization, but remains departmental in silos of different applications. And this is pretty important, and it's kind of the evolution of how we buy software. It's hard to buy a one-size-fits-all software depending upon whether the volumes of your emails are coming to your contact center or across different multi-channels. You typically buy an application to best suit the channel that you're serving. The reality of it is the information each one of those channels has is probably different on the information it's giving to the agent. Therefore, your customers are getting different answers. That problem compounds pretty quickly, but it's typically how knowledge is created, maintained, and delivered in organizations today. Very quickly, when you have to change something, the knowledge becomes extremely inconsistent, outdated, and unmanageable across your organization. And the net result, the customer experience suffers. Now, the cool part about this is if you think variety is a spice of life, it works fantastic in a sales environment. If I didn't get the pricing or service contract I wanted from one channel, I'll go to another. But from a customer service standpoint, it's the absolute death. I would rather every single one of my agents be giving the wrong answer consistently. I can fix that problem. But if the answer has variety out there, it's not a problem I can control, and what we're seeing in a lot of organizations today. So that's kind of why I point to a centralized knowledge solution being the absolute answer. So I'm going to tell you why I think centralized knowledge solution is the answer to a customer engagement strategy, and then also how have knowledge solutions changed? Why would I be compelled to invest in something different today with cloud solution technology? The first off, and Kate mentioned a global pulse survey, and I always look at this year over year to find out what's the trend happening from a consumer perspective. Over 2,000 consumers surveyed, and customers are not tolerating poor customer service. And this is a global survey, so it's not from what I would consider from a U.S. perspective, as we have a lot of choice, but this is global, worldwide, that 66% of the customers are switching their subscribers or their products due to poor customer service. But when these customers are surveyed, 82%, just about all of them say they believe as a company you can fix this. And primarily their biggest complaint year over year is resolving their contact for first contact resolution. It's getting them answers. Regardless of what channel, regardless of whether I'm servicing or trying to purchase something for you, I'm looking for an answer. 79%, almost again, all of these customers have a much higher expectation of service and support to be easier. And this is exactly what Kate talked about in the 4 Ps, being pain-free, proactive. They expect it to get easier, faster, and more convenient. It's just what customers are demanding these days. Now, what I'm going to do is take each of these customer expectations and kind of expand them and map them to why I think knowledge is the answer and why improving this actually increases your customer engagement strategy. So the first one, if I look at, I expect customer service and support to be easier and more convenient to obtain, is all about knowledge access in your organization. Do customers have the knowledge access that's somewhere in your organization? The second one, I expect customer service and support representatives, whether it's in-home, to have, or sales associates, to be more knowledgeable or better trained. And that's all about knowledge proficiency. Do these people have access to knowledge, and do they know exactly what knowledge to give customers? Thirdly, I expect customer service and support to be faster. That's all about knowledge enablement. How do I knowledge enable the tools or where customers go to get that information and make it easier for them to obtain exactly what they're looking for? And then lastly, I expect more options for obtaining service and support via phone, online, or at store locations, or via mobile devices like Kate talked about, mobile enablement. And that to me is all about knowledge availability. A solid customer engagement strategy cannot happen without improving knowledge in your organization. And that's not going to happen. And the reason why we say that, from a centralized, we believe that a centralized knowledge provides one source of truth. And we looked at CRM maybe 10 years ago. We said you got to centralize your customer master data file. Well, I'm saying it's just as important to centralize the one source of information you're giving your customers, which is information about your products and services, the knowledge in your organization. Centralize that. Because regardless of channel, your customers demand accurate answers. And we understand that you already use some best-of-class solutions for either CRM or efficient channel management. But each solution, we also realize, has some level of built-in KM. But we know, as knowledge experts, KM is not the strongest function in the applications you probably have today, so you're kind of adequately managing knowledge in these silos. Well, from our perspective, the most important asset for delivering outstanding customer service should really not depend on adequacy. You really need a next-generation solution to manage knowledge. So I want to take you through a little journey on how Transversal improves knowledge access and how we make finding information easier and more convenient to obtain, and how we increase knowledge proficiency so we can turn every employee or trainee into a seasoned expert. Next one is talk about knowledge availability. How can we deliver knowledge to every channel in mobile with real an ease before you'd ever seen before? How do I distribute one implementation of knowledge to all the different devices that exist out there without having to go through multiple implementations? And then lastly, how can we empower your support organization through knowledge enablement to respond faster than ever before? I also want to talk about how knowledge solutions have changed and kind of the evolution of knowledge. And the only way to do that is to remind you, remember what it was like before we used GPS in cars. And I look at this center screen, and yeah, we used maps. We had map books. We went to AAA to get information and stuff. But at the end of the day, it always became an argument of which way do I go, what's the best, fastest route, where am I at currently located. It wasn't a fun experience. Many of us have experienced. And most of you get turn right here, already it's gone by their passenger side window. Not a fun experience. And many of us that had to drive into metropolitan areas to try to find customer sites or locations, it just was always a nervous experience to begin with, especially when you're driving in a place you don't know. But then along came a technology, not a disruptive technology, but a godsend technology that finally leveraged contextual information of the car's current position, a GPS solution that told you precisely how to get where you want to go step by step, suggests alternative routes to use, predicts what time you will arrive to give you better gauging your client meetings, displays points of interest along the route. Maybe I'm on a family vacation. I want to stop at certain points of interest, and actually updates itself to obtain the latest road changes or additions, or even warns you of traffic ahead. It's the one technology every car must have. Well, I say so too has been the evolutions of knowledge solutions. If we look back into probably middle 1990s, when the first generation KM came out, I think it was Inference was one of the first vendors I looked at as a call center person. It was basically informational-based KM. It's how do we store information as a case, as a knowledge article? How do I tag that knowledge article? How can I find that knowledge article? And how can I update that knowledge article? Pretty much base information. And many of you are seeing kind of the SharePoint stuff there because that's kind of what SharePoint is doing, kind of better probably collaboration of content ahead of time, but it's basically just storing information in repositories, and eventually you might be able to find it. Well, then came along contextual KM, kind of KM built into CRM. And the vendors of the world either OEM those applications, purchase those applications, but again, it was all about kind of obtaining knowledge optimized for the channels, keyword searching, and some form level integration of the CRM. You know, decent enough, and I would kind of put that in the MapQuest era of automobile travel, because if you plug in MapQuest where you are, where you want to go, it gives you decent information. And a new generation of social came out, social KM, in the past, I would say 5 years or so, where you now have crowdsourcing communities or tribal knowledge, or we can actually federate search to find all this information out there. And next generation, not a bad place if you like the lazy man's purpose of knowledge management. Let your customers serve themselves. But I know if it's mission critical for me, I get exactly the picture I put in the screen, people pointing in different directions and different ideas. And it's something to try. It's better than nothing. But at the end of the day, is that good enough? When I look at what we're doing today, puts us in a generation of cognitive KM. And cognitive KM are a set of solutions and engines that actually do the same thing in the process that a human brain does. You said something, but I'm not really sure if that's what you've meant, so I'm going to interpret you probably meant the following. I'm also going to understand that every time this person asks this question, they always ask this next question. So what's happening is we have things like intentional understanding, intent understanding, or dynamic warnings of what's happening in the solution, and also content monitoring. And I'll take you kind of on a road of how we're making that a little bit different at Transversal. But there's finally a solution that leverages contextual information from other cloud solutions, whether it be CRM, ERP, HR, e-commerce, or web pages. There's finally a solution that understands what people most often want. You don't have to search fully. It'll start predicting what you want, and you could use the wrong phrase or terminology. We pretty much will understand that as well. And we can tell you precisely the information you are looking for. If it's a guided diagnostic that's needed, we could take you through that step by step. We can also suggest alternative content. That might be nothing new, but I'm going to show you in a different twist how we do it dynamically and automatically. And then, like a GPS, we can display points of interest along the route, whether it be product promotions, whether it be product recalls, software updates, or upgrades or cross-sells along the way. Lastly, we can even warn you of trouble ahead. We can push out service alerts proactively, or we can actually automate and look for warning signs that should be come ahead and alert you of what's happening. It's the one technology every customer-driven business must have. Now I'm going to take you down how we're doing a lot of this stuff from a kind of a functional high-level perspective for each of the areas of knowledge access, how we really make finding information easier. On the right-hand side, I'm kind of showing you a screenshot of a simple search of problems with my iPlayer on an Apple. Now, if you put that into Google, you'd expect for iPlayer, Apple incidents. You might find great Macintosh places to pick apples if you're in the Northeast, or where to buy apples in supermarkets. But the patented machine technology that we're using today, we basically know what you mean, not what you type. The system does a lot of interpretation around combinations of words and where it's being implemented to understand you probably mean Apple, the computer technology. We have full intent understanding. We learn through the experiences, so it just gets better over time as different people search and they say it doesn't work and they search for something else. It just gets better. Powerful search accuracy, and what that actually means is improved online deflections. Your customers will be able to find this information in an easier fashion. And to make it even easier, we know that your customers probably are not going to be going to your website most of the time. They're going to start from Google. So we know most customers start there, so we leverage the latest in SEO techniques to make sure, in the example to the right, you're seeing the same search, problems with iPlayer on my Apple, and the content coming back through Google is exactly the stuff that's been served up on the BBC site, driving customers through any public search engine right to the website. What does this do? It minimizes customer effort. Your customers are still looking for information, and they're not going to your site. We're going to drive them to your site and make it real easy. It actually improves commerce traffic with some of our customers. And actually, when you look at it from a mobile device perspective, you don't expect someone to open a mobile device, open up the browser window, navigate to your site, navigate to the support section of your site, and then search from there. They're basically just going to either talk to Siri, ask a question, or leverage some voice-enabled technology to hopefully get what they're wanting to. And with our search, they can actually get there. The next section I'll talk about is how we make every agent an expert from a knowledge proficiency standpoint. And we really strive for what we call zero-click advice. We know what agents want. We leverage contextual information from any desktop, whether it be CRM or whether it be an ERP solution. We leverage the information you're typing in and start pre-populating that solution as you're dynamically filling out your form, dynamically solving these solutions for agents. If you did want to search, we'll leverage type-ahead search suggestions. So you might not even finish your query as we're populating the suggestions that should be available to you. Should you not want to search and there's something that comes up all the time, an agent could link to their personal favorites. If guided diagnostics is extremely important to ensure every agent is consistently diagnosing a problem, we have step-by-step decision trees. And this really, in some cases, not only minimizes but eliminates training efforts. In seasonal industries such as retail, some of our largest retailers have almost eliminated training by just basically training the tool. No more product updates and training on what's available out there from a merchandise perspective. Just train the tool and let them find what they need to answer customers' questions. We also make every agent an expert because customers don't always ask one question. We also know what they'll need next. And a lot of companies show that they do this through linked answers or suggested alternatives. But when you look at it from a knowledge-based perspective, those on the phones that manage knowledge base, when I put in a knowledge article, in order for me to get those suggested links, 9 times out of the 10, I'm doing the tagging automatically. I'm putting in a piece of content and I'm linking it to other pieces of content. Not in our system. We did the auto-linking of content automatically for you. This technology is self-learning. Again, it's dynamically changing, so as customers change their behavior on how they go after solutions, the related articles will change. It's extremely important for what we found intelligent mobile navigation. So if any of you wanted to demo and you have an Apple iPhone, after the call, open up the iPhone and ask Siri, can I get next day delivery with Marks & Spencer? You will automatically be taken to Siri's Google results. You'll see the list coming from Marks & Spencer. And when you click on Marks & Spencer, just give it a thumbs up, and you'll see the navigation is taking me to what you possibly might ask me next. So it's, yes, I do next day delivery, but do I have to be home to sign? And if I'm home to sign, can I do this for all particular type of merchandise? It really is intelligent enough to drive you to, from a mobile experience, to make it really easy from a customer journey. Or it could be I could push targeted promotions. So when agents are on certain knowledge articles, it's a good time to programmatically put in there kind of an updated product promotion. We also make applications and delivery smart. So this is for the software developers that are out there from the standpoint of, how can I seamlessly integrate this to CRM desktops? But we know how to deliver knowledge as a service. We have a very open cloud delivery platform with 2A APIs so that I can read information from the CRM system as well as link content back to the CRM system. We can do process-level CRM integration, online web form intelligence, or integrated desktop performance from the standpoint of integrating right to a mobile device with some smart, intelligent APIs. We also can mobile enable applications. So very simply, we use a responsive web design. As you're seeing an example, one of our large retailers, in the middle of the screen is their online web self-service application embedded to their website. But to the right and to the left are a mobile and a tablet. If you shrink down the website, you will see it automatically does breakpoints of where it will serve up applications on a tablet or a mobile device. When you launch the device, it automatically renders. So leveraging responsive web design allows us with one deployment to leverage our application across any device with zero additional codes. We also have smart plug-in APIs specifically for mobile apps. So if you wanted us to embed our knowledge right into your mobile app, we can do that. I talked about intelligent mobile application navigation, and I also talked about voice-enabled search that you can demo you for yourself after this call. Lastly, it's most important for us to make sure that we make managing knowledge simple with advanced analytics. We know what you need to improve your knowledge delivery, to deliver true customer insight, access up-to-the-minute statistics, allow you to evaluate the feedback that's coming back for either customers or agents, identify these knowledge gaps, and review search engine with confidence of how they're getting access to information. And lastly, if you don't know what's going to happen, the worst thing you can do is be surprised. So we can also warn you about what might be coming next through our service warnings. This auto-categorizes data streams of information. It could be emails coming into your service center. It could be information out on Twitter or Facebook that you want to understand, and it auto-categorizes these data streams. Then what it does is it will alert you when activity reaches higher than normal levels. And you set these levels. You set the thresholds of 10,000 conversations or 300 conversations. If this occurs, notify me. At this point, we can now spot early service escalation trends. As a knowledge manager, as a service manager, you can now spot early warning when things are about to hit you before it actually happens. So from our perspective, be the first to know what topics are trending to actionable levels. If you want to take customer engagement to the next level, we really suggest you invest in a best-of-class KM vendor. At Transversal, we're 100% invested in KM Cloud Solutions and innovation. We're a purpose-built search engine for extreme accuracy and a superior self-service experience. We have advanced APIs to seamlessly integrate to and energize your customer-facing investments today. And we have superior analytics and service monitors to improve the delivery of knowledge and allow you to respond faster than ever before. We're all about, we truly believe there's a more innovative way for people to get good help, and that's why at Transversal we're all about connecting people to knowledge. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Andy, and open it up for questions.
Thank you very much, Chris. That was great. And between you and Kate, we've got a lot to talk about, I think. But I'll start out with a question of my own. I mean, you talked about a lot of things that people could do in terms of investing in online and mobile and customer-facing, applications. What would you do first? If people are out there wondering what to do, and I'm going to ask you and Kate the same question, but what would you do if you could only make one strategic decision and one strategic investment this year what would you do?
Well, the consultative answer that most people give, Andy, is it depends. So that's the easiest one that you would pay thousands of dollars for a consultant to give you. And the nice part about it is there's no wrong answer. Given my experience and the vast amount I've seen with customers implementing knowledge over the year, the most successful deployments have been agent side first. It's the biggest point that touches your customers today, and it's the biggest variety of source of information that could be giving out to your customers today. There's so much it can do from the standpoint of minimizing average handle time, from reducing training costs. But if it doesn't do either of those, what I guarantee what it'll do is it will level the playing field, meaning all the tools you have today to staff your contact center, from average handle time to Erlang tables to workforce management that you're depending upon to ensure you're hitting your service levels in your organization. What if I said I could give you one tool that will make your average handle time consistent with all of your employees? That's huge. All the tools you use to really staff.
It's also unlikely, isn't it?
It's not unlikely, Andy. If you give everyone level playing field of the answers to give to your customers, sure, the 80-20 rule is that 20% are going to be weird questions you might not have in the knowledge base. But for the 80, and if you said that my workforce management was like 80 to 90% efficient or effective because everything's consistent, that would be fantastic. So I would say at a worst case scenario, I'll make everything consistent so that all the tools that you have to staff your contact center is better. And the worst thing you could do is make your customers smarter than your agents. So let's not give customer tools on the website before we give the agents tools. But that's my vendor approach. I'll see what Kate has for that answer.
I'd like to hear Kate's take on that.
So I would take a more pragmatic approach maybe and step back from your customer service operations and survey your customers and find out what's working for them, what's not working for them. Even do an audit on your customer service operations. Pose as a customer and audit yourselves. Audit yourselves over the phone channel, over the email channel, over your web self-service channel. And use your audit and use the results of customer surveys to put together an improvement plan and use frameworks to benchmark yourselves against best practices. And I agree with Chris that a fundamental component of good customer service is knowledge. And yet there may be other things in an organization that may be more broken, that may have a bigger impact on the overall customer experience.
But when you talk about audit, what exactly do you mean by that? Do you mean
two things.
To the agents and asking them what they do during a day, or?
So two things. There are customer service best practice frameworks that you can use to benchmark for example, your technology, your processes, your operations, your strategy against. In terms of an audit, so that's a much broader engagement. To do an audit, pose as a customer with a problem that your customer service department can resolve. Pick up the phone and contact your customer service department. See how painful that process is. Maybe it's an issue with an IVR menu. Look at your web self-service. Can you find the answer to your question on your website or via your mobile phone? Maybe you have a problem with your knowledge base and your availability of content. That's what I mean by an audit.
You might not also have a choice, Andy. It really depends upon, sometimes you're just basically aligning your investments with strategic corporate objectives. So if your strategic corporate objectives is to increase deflection and you're reducing headcount, you might go after the web self-service first. The interesting thing is do it eyes wide open, because as you basically maybe increasing your deflections, you're probably going to get a lot more Tier 2 calls coming into your contact center. So your call times might start going up a little bit. But there's enough data and enough consulting advice that we could all give clients that there's no wrong answer. Best to at least go after one.
No, I mean, that happens, right? I mean,
understand the issues that you currently have and what your customers think about your service offering.
Oh, how do you do that, though? Is that a social network thing that you need to be aware of? Do you have to go out and watch the websites and watch the comment boards and all that kind of stuff?
Well, it's both. It's serving your customers after an interaction. It's doing your social listening. It's also mining your call notes and seeing what your customers have to say. Chris, did you want to add anything?
Well, social provides a very interesting element to knowledge. What I love about social is the same thing that amazes me about Facebook. What compels people to say, I'm here at a conference in New York, and post it on their Facebook page is beyond me, but people feel compelled. What I like about social media from a knowledge perspective is people feel compelled to share. Because people do want to help other people. I think the question then becomes, where do you draw the line between unsanctioned social content and really sanctioned corporate content? And I think consumers will figure that out in themselves. I know as a technologist, if I have a problem with any of my devices, I'll probably search Google first. And then when I look down the URLs, I kind of figure out which particular source I might want to try. The cool thing is with our technology is you can leverage all that. So we're not mining social data to say there's problems out there. We could be mining diamonds in the rough. We could be pointing our service alert meter at a lithium community, finding that there's really great answers in there, and federating that back into, not federating it, but actually bringing that back in and sanctioning that into the knowledge base so that that becomes, again, available for public search engines and mobile devices. So I think there's a lot of great attributes that we're playing extremely friendly with social media because, I mean, you just can't avoid. We want to make knowledge really compelling for organizations to share.
Do you two agree that social media tends to be negative, that people who send, messages to a company are usually unhappy, and they're not particularly happy. They don't usually say, oh, yeah, I really love your company. What they usually say is, oh, I had a bad experience. What do you do with that?
Kate, do you want to take that one?
So two things. First of all, social media is ratings and reviews. It's blogs. It's Facebook likes. It's advocacy, social advocacy, as well as comments, questions, and issues. And there are very established procedures to be able to capture, to your point or to your specific question, an issue and be able to respond to it. First of all, you can take the request and bucket it into 4 different categories. Do you ignore it? Do you read it? Do you answer? And do you escalate? And depending on what the type of inquiry or the type of sentiment, your company should have established processes to be able to take that sentiment and be able to act on it, and as well as contact the customer if necessary and close the loop.
For me, Andy, it's a love-hate relationship. So as a consumer, I love social media for ratings and reviews. I really do care that maybe a shoe size is a little bit smaller than it needs to be, and I'll leverage that information. So I do. Here's where I hate it. That one person complains on Twitter, and as CRM vendors create a case and it gets priority in the queue, that customers, we're not like the Maytag, we're not like the Maytag service department. We're sitting around waiting for customer answers. We're not even today at 100% SLAs for hitting phone, hitting email, hitting all this stuff. Yet social is one more channel that gets escalated because it's noisier. So we look at it as a vendor saying, how can we get out in front of that? And that's why we developed what we call service warnings, so that we can actually, you don't even have to know what you're looking for. We'll auto-categorize the noise for you, and we'll just say, hey, this is about to happen. Now, from our standpoint, I would much rather somebody in my organization create a piece of content that insulates my organization from getting all those inquiries coming in than someone handle one case at a time when all that stuff starts to hit me. So we're looking at it from it's a great listening. People have the right to complain and will complain, but we should at least be able to figure out how to handle that a little bit more respectively than create one case in the contact center when that has to happen.
Yeah, that's a question, and we're running out of time, but I'm going to have the audience stick around for another couple of minutes, which has to do with the agent desktop, and to what degree can you provide those sort of proactive, warnings to your agents?
So there's two levels of warnings that we'll do. One I would call a service alert, and it's basically nothing more than a different piece of content that'll get pushed to an agent somewhere on their desktop, right? It's, hey, power outage in San Mateo County, and I'm a cellular provider. Right. Or I'm a different type of software company, and upgrade went out and broke all the email or broke all the reporting systems. So that's a pushed alert. We know there's something happening. It's a trend, and we push it out to agents to see that. The question is how do you find that early enough, right? How do you find those volumes early enough? We're doing that automated. So we start seeing email threads coming in, and they're starting to coming in rapidly. We'll put a noise filter on that. That doesn't have to go to an agent, but that should go to a tier 2, somebody that's almost like a knock when you see these guys, the IT people in large organizations sitting back behind 5 computer screens, and that's kind of what it's going to. It's either going to send them an SMS message, a text message saying, hey, service alert, problem power outage is coming up 17,000 times. There's a trend occurring. So we're just giving you a heads up. Now with that, a good tier 2 knowledge agent should be able to push out a service alert, and then someone should be able to create a piece of content to be able to push out, whether it's on the IVR or whether it's on the website, to let customers know we understand there's a power outage. Please bear with us.
Yeah, I just had that happen to me yesterday. Our power went out, and I called the local power company, and they said, yeah, we've had a major power outage, so chill out. We'll be with you in a minute.
That might not be the answer you want, but it was an answer that you at least from a customer experience perspective, not optimal, but hey, they can't do anything about it. I understand it. But if you got nothing and they didn't know, that would be unacceptable.
Yeah, and even better yet, to have that proactively delivered to you by phone, by text, by whatever communication channel that you want to engage with your provider on.
That would have been good, but it didn't happen. I had to call in, but at least they had a voice activated recording that said, yeah, we're aware, chill out. Well, listen, guys, we're over our time limit, so I want to thank both of you for a great conversation today. Kate Leggett from Forrester and Chris Hall from Transversal. You guys were awesome. And because you're so awesome, people might want to review this event or send it to a colleague to view it later. So we'll archive it for about 90 days or so. You can use the same URL you used today to view it or share it. And you can always navigate to any of our archived events during www.kmworld.com. So just for coming today, thank you very much. I want to thank the audience for coming, and then we're going to put you in a drawing to win this really cool Apple TV. And again, I want to thank Kate and Chris for helping us today. That was tremendous, and I'm going to listen to it again, actually. So thank you very much. Thanks, everyone, for coming. This is Andy Moore. This is KM World, signing off from sunny Maine for a change. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.